Doug,
John? How are you?
still going. How's it going? Good.
You guys ready? Guys ready? All right, let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Malumbi,
Here.
Osterloo,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Penny. Here. Sonny.
Here.
Dursa,
Here.
Genslinger, Dosher.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First, as this is the first meeting after the new year for the city, we are open to election of officers. Do I hear any nominations for chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate you as chairman again, and I also move that nomination cease.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded that I be nominated as chairman and that nomination cease and a unanimous ballot be cast. Is there discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Let's go roll call, please.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Dursa,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
Jay, I'm assuming you're abstaining.
I am abstaining.
Motion carried.
All right, next on the agenda is nomination for vice chairman. I'm going to use my prerogative to nominate Doug Malumbi as vice chairman. He's been successful at that job for several years. Is there a second? Second. Is there further motion? Hearing none, I assume that you are ready to vote. Let us go roll call again, please.
Dursa,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
abstaining for Doug. Motion carried.
All right, are there any conflicts of interest to be shown at this time? Based on the agenda that is before us. Hearing none, I assume we're ready to move on, but before we do, Mark, welcome to us. You've been around us before, so you know how we kind of work, and we're glad to see you on board with us. We have a new city council representative here. I'd like to have him introduce himself to us, and then we'll go around the table and introduce ourselves to him.
Thank you. I'm John Dosher. I've been on the city council for a number of years, and I'm happy to be part of this group. Thank you.
Well, I'm Jay Larson, and you just heard that I was re-elected chairman. I've been chairman of this thing for many years. And I'm retired, did some work with education, and then spent 32 years doing water and wastewater planning. Doug, your turn.
I know John, I've known him a long time. Doug Malumbi, John.
Jacob Sonny, work with SPN Associates. I'm kind of the freshman here. Been going since early spring.
Larry Jersa?
Mark Jangus,
Brad Penny.
And John Osterloo.
All right, we are looking now for an approval of the agenda as presented. If there's any additions or corrections, now it's time to bring them forward.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our June 28th meeting. It was provided in the packet of information to us all.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. The next meeting, blanket for the next meeting is scheduled for July July 26, 2021 at noon.
We do have items on that agenda already, so
Okay.
we'll have that meeting.
Move to approve.
To approve.
I approve it. Moved first.
And a second.
Well, you were keeping, yep, I'll move.
Second.
Second, that the schedule for the next meeting be approved at July 26th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a conditional use permit application. Marcy Stokes has applied for a conditional use permit to operate a family residential daycare childcare center at her home at 523 South Montana, legally described as Block 6, Block 4, Van Eck, second addition to the city of Metro. The property is zoned R2, single family. And if you look at the screen, you'll see approximately where it is. Is there anyone here to talk to us about that?
Josh Peterson, with Clark Companies. We own the property, that the tenant rents from us at 523 South Montana. We don't have any issues with it, as long as the applicant, includes our company as an insured, with their insurance.
All right. Fire marshal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was in that property this morning. They're up to code, and it sounds like they have operated daycares in the past, so they're familiar with what they needed. Children will be on the first floor, egress out the front and back window or back doors. Fire extinguishers are in the house, smoke detectors are in the house, and that about covers it.
Anything else?
We did get 2 responses against the conditional use.
Okay.
Were they neighbors?
They were neighbors, yes.
Yeah. They didn't send us any information that was included in the packet, did they?
No, we got it after the packet got emailed out, or excuse me, mailed out. It just said they're just against it. There was no real reason or anything with it. Just disapproved.
Do you have the addresses on those, Mark?
I believe it is 519 and 520. 520 and 519. So one's across the street and one's right next door.
Is there another home care there or something like that, or that we know of, or is that's why they're against it? Nope, okay.
No,
That appears to be a corner lot, so I would guess that parking should not be an issue because you have 2 streets or unloading and unloading.
Josh, I have a question for you. Is this a like long-term lease or short-term lease?
I would say they'll be coming up on their 1-year lease here within the next 2 months.
So it's an annual lease deal.
Correct, yep, and all our tenants are required to sign a 1-year lease. So, I mean, we will be locked in unless, light changes and things like that. And it does have a fenced-in backyard as well, all the way around. It's got a gate. Walk up on the west side of the house, there's a little deck area, there's a gate there, and there is a gate towards the alley on the west end as well by the garage.
Mr. Chairman, Fire Marshal Shannon again. The tenant did mention that they would be seeking state approval as well. And just so we are aware, they're a little bit more stringent than our city code even is. So just keep that in mind as well.
I think one of the prerequisites, and I was going to ask you that if you knew anything about that, either one of you gentlemen. I believe our approval of a conditional use is prerequisite to a state permit, so looks like the young lady is probably looking to do everything correctly.
That's my assumption, yes.
That would be a request of ours as well. I mean, we wouldn't allow just the daycare center here unless it was state approved and certified and inspected.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, are people that operated childcare, are they limited to the number of kids they can have?
not necessarily and by anything that we do. The state does have some limits on what they can do.
Depending on the amount of help or employees that daycare has, it's usually, I believe, 1 adult per 8 children. And that does not include children who are small children who, that, yep.
I believe you're limited to 2 children under the age of 1.
All right, anybody else got any comments here? Hearing none, I assume we're ready for a motion. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Does that include our regular caveats?
Yes. Yep.
I'll second.
Mark, do you have a list of those caveats?
Permit is non-transferable, and if the business ceases to operate within 6 months, then a new application would be required. Fire marshal's already inspected, which would be your 3rd normal one.
Anybody got any questions? All right, moved and seconded that the conditional use permit be approved. We've had discussion on the motion. I assume you're ready to vote. Let's go roll call, please.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes.
Jerza,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, let's go to number 9 on the agenda. A replat of tract A and a portion of tract D, Wild Oak Golf Club Edition in the southeast quarter of section 23, 10360 of the 5th parallel PM. Davis County, South Dakota. That portion of land shall hereafter be known as and described as Lot 15 in the replat of Lot A and Lot 3A and Lot 3B and Tract D of Wild Oak Golf Club Edition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. And if you look at the screen, there's a rendition of what's going on. Looks like they're going to plat a pretty good sized piece of the tract that lies to the south, I believe. That's north, I'm sorry.
Yep, north is up.
That's in the county, I believe, is it not? Yep.
It is, but yet it isn't. This doesn't go through county at all because with all the tracks that are out there, they're already into the city, but they're not taxed until it actually gets platted in the county or in the city of Mitchell.
Okay.
The golf course is still out in the county, but all the tracks are in the city.
Okay. Anybody here to talk to us about that? Hearing no one.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded that the plat be approved. Discussion on the motion.
Correct me, if they plan to develop those and build, they have to come back to the planning commission, correct? You are now just approving the
That's correct.
annexation of the
Correct.
property into the city, correct? Thank you.
It wouldn't come back to this board at all for them to put a house or anything like that on. That would just go strictly to John for a building permit.
And it depends on, it could come back to us if they have to do some conditional use for it or, yeah. But if it fits on the track that they're going to put it on, meets all the building code stuff, we won't see it. And the drainage guys they'll have a look at it.
An issue I've lived out there and have for 15 years. I was the first house built out there. And we had an issue recently. I'm also on the homeowners association board. We had an issue out there recently where a builder went to the city, John Haig, and got a building permit that did not match the city building codes, if you will, but it did not match the homeowners association covenants. And it created quite a stir. That's why I was curious if they come back with a building proposal of building on those sites back to this board. That's why I was curious, because we'd hate to see what happened last time
And here's this,
start over.
yeah, and here's this, an issue that sometimes gets a little thorny. City's responsibility is to meet building codes. The builder's responsibility is to check with the homeowners association if there are some variances to it. We have no control over the variances that a homeowners association may put on. So if the builder didn't do his due diligence, but he got an approved permit because it fits our code, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. So, anything else that anyone wants to discuss here? Given that, this is two separate plats, so do we need two separate motions? It's
You-
coming in as one.
you can do it
Probably
as one.
not. We can approve both plats.
Yep.
I believe. Are we ready for a motion?
Yep, we have a motion in the second already.
Okay. And we have discussion on the motion? Further discussion? Hearing none. Let's go roll call vote again, please.
Sonny,
Yes.
Benny,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Gurza,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item is discussion only Corn Palace Estates expansion. Who's here to talk to us about that little project?
He's actually not here. I believe he's from Minnesota or Ohio. So if you recall back in,
Not too long ago.
yeah, it was, lost my piece of paper I had it on. Was it August of 2020? Something like that. They came in because they changed it. They were going to tear out some old buildings, put new, mobile homes in there. They haven't really done a whole lot with it yet, and COVID is the reason why he said that it didn't work out so far yet, but he still plans to. So the area in red is what is in the mobile home park right now. Copels own the land to the east and the land to the south. They are wanting to purchase the land to the south, which is 1.57 acres, and convert that into a mobile home area, expanding their already mobile home park. Where the issue comes into play is all of this is highway business. Highway business does not allow to have a mobile home park in it. This was grandfathered in way back in the day. So this 1.57 acres would have to be rezoned to either R4, which it is a permitted use, or under the commercial side of things, it would be neighborhood shopping. It's not touching anything that would be either R4 or neighborhood shopping, so it would be spot zoning, but this would be a good location for something like that. So he just wanted to know what the board was thinking, if he should pursue it or not pursue it. I talked with one of the Copel owners, and they are for it. They would like to sell it, and that was their intent long ago, was to expand that park, but it's just kind of some gray areas that come with it now.
Well, given the situation that we have in the community right now, that would not be a bad idea, actually, because we do need some more affordable housing. And he's cleaned that up a bit, if any of you have driven by it, and I drive by it quite frequently. Several of those mobile homes have been worked on, siding put on them, and it looks a lot better than they did 6 months ago.
How's the sewer and water capabilities there?
Water definitely won't be an issue. Sewer, it's hard to tell just because of their existing infrastructure on site, how that's all laid out. But if this was to move forward, they would have to submit plans that would have to be approved by the city.
And there's about an acre and a half there.
Yep.
I wonder how many homes they would be thinking about putting in there.
He didn't give that number at all, but looking at the existing where there were 16 and they were adding 16 more in there, I'd say it'd probably be about 16 would fit on that location, roughly.
And I believe there is a minimum lot size for mobile homes in our ordinance.
Yes.
So he would be required to follow those.
Would we have an unused R5 designation in our ordinance someplace, or there used to be at least for particular mobile home area. Chuck McChesney was chasing that one time up across from the airport. And it never got enacted. I wonder if this would be an opportunity to create an R5 area, which would allow people to own that mobile home, that lot that mobile home sits on if they wish. Just a thought.
Yeah, we discuss with the owner their options, and then we'd have them proceed how they would wish for this to proceed in the future. But yeah, that's definitely an option.
And if that area to the south is an acre and a half, the rest of that must be about 4 acres, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So you're talking 5.5 acres? R5 designation by the lot if you want to? Is that something that could be approached with these gentlemen? I think there's 2 guys involved in this thing.
I've only talked to the one.
Yeah. But thinking way back when.
I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure their thought is that they would continue to rent the property, so it'd be a rental business for them.
And if that were the case, we'd probably want to go towards neighborhood shopping because that's more commercial instead of a residential, maybe in an R5 or whatever.
Yeah, R5 is definitely a residential area. What do you think, guys? If we would look at that whole thing as a neighborhood shopping, would that be spotting? I don't know.
It technically would be spotting because it's not touching anything,
Yeah. But it's a pretty good sized parcel too. You know, that's the other side of that coin. Mr. Attorney, think about it, will you please?
I figured you were going to ask me eventually. I think for today's purposes, it's probably more a discussion on whether the commission would like to see a formal application from the individual. If it does come to that point, we've got a number of different factors that we can look at to see whether it's going to be spot zoning or some other kind of permissible or impermissible zoning activity. I don't have those for you to look at today, but that's something that we could have prepared for a formal application.
What do you think, guys? You know, if you drive around town, take a look at mobile home courts, and of course, mobile homes are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're all full. You know?
Well, I think personally it's a good use for this kind of oddball piece of land here, you know. It's in the back of what's there, but I don't know, I think it's a good use of land based on what's there. But I don't know in terms of having it an R5, I'm not sure of any kind of market there.
Well,
If that's even a desirable thing to even own, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about mobile home business. But.
One other possibility that I don't think I've heard discussed yet is everything all the land that we'd be discussing currently is all zoned HB. It would be a possibility to add mobile homes as a conditional use in HB as well. I don't think that that's been thrown out as an option yet.
A good possibility,
That's a good possibility too.
as long as it's a conditional.
Yeah.
It, for myself, I agree with Larry. In reality, that piece of ground isn't the most desirable, and that probably would be a good use for it.
And looking to the east, there's another piece of ground there that
Exactly.
has potential for something.
Well, if we do kind of spot zone and change it to something like that, that might give more a chance for that east property to get redeveloped into a different, so we'll have to look at that.
I like the idea of putting the conditional use on our highway business.
Because like Copel's looking like to sell it, and he's
Right.
doing it in pieces here, the way it looks, and so. So if we kind of do change that, then we can kind of look and see what's for the future of that next piece, so.
All right, you've got some ideas to go with. Anything else that somebody wants to add? Hearing none, is there any other business to come before this body at this time? Now it's time for public input. If you need to address the city planning commission on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken. Seeing no one advance to the podium, we are adjourned.
They should all be so easy, huh?
Well, this board does a lot of looking and discussing before this happens. All right, those have a clue.